This is Centered, where faith meets everyday life. Our hope is to invite you into a better story, a story where you're made new through Jesus, living with God-given purpose, and experiencing peace, joy, and freedom. Together, we'll explore what it means to keep Jesus at the center of where we live, work, and play, bringing beauty, meaning, and renewal to every part of our lives. Thank you for joining us. Here are your hosts, David and Ben.
Welcome to the Centered Podcast. I am not overcompensating for my tiredness at this hour. It's really 10 a.m. It's not that bad, but it's Tuesday, which is good. We have Monday off.
Yeah.
It is gloomy.
It is gloomy.
Which is bad for me.
Yeah. Gloomy, but it's not like freezing cold.
No, but it was like drizzling.
Yeah.
And kind of like how my soul feels. Just drizzly, and cloudy.
I don't mind it. I don't mind. We came off of a really like unseasonably high temperature weekend, which was beautiful.
Amazing.
We had a 4-day weekend in the Comstock household.
Same.
Except Sunday. I had to take a little intermission from our 4-day weekend for Sunday.
Yeah.
It was good.
I had a kid at camp.
Yeah. That was 2 weeks ago for me.
That was good. And then we shipped one kid off to a sleepover on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
Which was great for us, but I'm like really like wondering about the marriage of these parents. I'm like, oh no.
You're like, oh, those poor.
They're not going to make it. Really nice people. They took our son on Valentine's Day. Yeah. No. I think they'll be fine.
Dude, it's funny because I'm like the Valentine's Day curmudgeon in my house.
How so?
Like I am really push back against commercialized
it's a Hallmark
holidays.
Holiday.
Oh, dude, and everything goes up. Like prices go up, restaurants charge more, like cards go up, flowers go up, everything goes up.
Yes.
It is a money-making cash cow, and then you feel like you have to prove yourself. And it's like, hey, if your spouse doesn't know you love them until February 14th, something's misfiring.
Yeah, you're doing
something's misfiring. So that's my wife would call me the curmudgeon, the Valentine's Day curmudgeon.
Well, my wife wouldn't call me that because she's nice, not because it's not true. She's very kind with her words, but she does not get flowers. Up until recently, I refused to go to a restaurant on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we don't do it. We don't do it.
But we had the sleep, like we had
you had the weekend, free weekend, you took advantage.
And we had reservations, but we still had to wait because it's Valentine's Day and it's busy.
Yeah.
So, I'm pretty much with you. I will never buy flowers.
But I did a bunch for my wife this week, like our
honey-do list?
Like her TV broke. I bought her a new TV, which was like a big purchase and thing. And so what I did is every time I did something for her, I would just be like, oh, happy Valentine's Day. That's my Valentine's Day gift for you. So it was like, I was over the top.
Man.
Yeah.
I
milked it.
I did a couple small things yesterday, and even though it was a day late, I feel like I missed an opportunity.
You missed an opportunity.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetie. You could have done it.
I got these things off the counter. You didn't want there anymore. Happy Valentine's
Happy Valentine's Day. I love you. I love you so much.
Oh boy. Well, that's just a taste of what you're in for.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, that's the podcast basically. We had a great Sunday. We acknowledged a couple techie things. Technology is like
man,
it's a love-hate.
It is a love-hate. It is a gift. It's a friend and a master all at once,
and a real jerk.
It can be a real jerk to you.
Jerk.
Yes, it can.
When it's working great, it's awesome, but it's never always all working great. There's always something. So,
but you know what I love? I like one of the things that we are aiming at as a church is presence over production.
Yeah.
And we want to communicate everywhere that we're all human, we're all in process, that perfection is just an illusion that is, something that's put out there to get people to either spend more money or stay in the rat race or, not really find freedom. And so with our services, sometimes being too polished is not good.
I agree. And that's why you have me.
Yeah.
Just keep things unpolished.
No, serious, dude.
If I'm too polished, then we bring in Chris Lord.
I used to send out emails and intentionally leave mistakes in them.
Really?
Yeah, like just so people would
know you're human.
Yeah, and not feel like the pressure to, and then you get those type A person and be like, oh, and I was like,
and that's how you get to find out.
It's like, no, I didn't. Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess I'm not perfect.
Yeah. I feel like companies do that sometimes just so they can send you a second email with the right link.
Just get in front of you.
It's
a marketing strategy. It's a marketing strategy.
I don't know if it's intentional, but it happens enough.
Never had that thought, but that's funny.
It might be intentional. But a great Sunday. A new series, but a continuation of the series we were in a sense.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know you were going to frame it that way, but I liked it.
Awesome. Yeah. I actually think that how we organize our calendar in the year as a church should probably look a little bit more like that we just continue conversations as opposed to compartmentalize or segment ideas. That's the big difference between story-formed discipleship and kind of systematic discipleship is one segmented and the other one kind of is flowing.
I prefer to pick and choose.
Flowing.
I get it. I like this. I don't like this.
You like the segmented.
I want this. I don't want
segmented that. Allows us for what someone once called a theological buffet.
Ooh, I love a good buffet.
Yeah. You just pick and choose what you want and leave out what you don't.
Definitely like that whole section with the salad.
No, you're gone.
Not happening.
You're gone.
Yeah. No, it's good. I like that. And I do think it is it's helpful to build on concepts as opposed to just like, oh, so this week I got to focus on being this, getting this in check or getting this right or figuring out how to handle this part of my life instead of just having this kind of more holistic, like who we're becoming in Christ mindset.
Yeah, and letting the story shape us. If you think about it, and this is why it's funny, like I don't have a lot of, sometimes I do, every now and again I do, but I don't have a lot of practical application in my sermons, which is when they teach you how to preach, that's like a no-no. Like you always end with practical application.
Yeah.
But I started thinking about it, I'm like, dude, if we have 52 weeks a year and every weekend we get 3 practical application points. Dude, that's 160 things I have to do
156
every year in order to be a whatever.
Oh, I know.
Like that's crazy.
Well, and the reality is
it's actually 156, but
yeah, I said it under my
you
breath.
did. Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you said 150.
No, 156.
Yeah, 156.
I just didn't want to, shout over. I was trying to be like rude, but not too rude.
Yeah, I was including the 2 services on Easter and Christmas.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Well, and don't forget about International Youth Pastor Sunday, like the Sunday around 4th of July.
Yeah. Which was actually this weekend, but I took it.
You did.
I took it. Yeah,
you did. It was good. And okay, so. I know that most weeks or every week there's something that's left unsaid by the preacher. We call it the cutting room floor, but I can't tell. Sometimes it's like really obvious. Like I actually can walk in going, okay, you kind of showed your cards. Like I don't have time for that, and you moved on. Yeah. I don't know what it is. So we'd like to hear from you. What is on the cutting room floor?
Yeah, I got through all my slides. That's why it messed. That's how I messed with you.
Dang it!
But there were some things. Sometimes it's not about what's cut, but what we didn't sit in. The way that I maybe imagined that we would sit in, and man, one of the things that I think I would love to sit in more is this idea of, and I joked about Jesus being some sort of weird necromancing soul collector. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but this idea of shifting from a disembodied soul going to heaven and Jesus forming saints to send into the world, to be a part of his redemptive plan for the world. And dude, I think that is a massive shift in people's understanding of faith.
Oh, I
in
had some
Christianity.
questions about it.
Yeah. So we could get there.
But
I don't know if you want to get in there, but
no, you share, and we'll just see if it organically.
yeah,
where it
and
goes.
the way, and I didn't get a chance to connect it as well as maybe I wanted to, or maybe I did. I don't, sometimes I don't really know.
It is hard to know when you're up
Yeah,
there.
like, I'm connecting or not.
What did I say?
But what's funny is we come out of this beautiful story of God forming and filling.
Mhm.
And we get this heart of God that's what he does. He forms space and then he fills it with his goodness and beauty, which is his glory. That's what his glory is. And when we think about God's mission in the world, ultimately it's to fill the earth with his glory. And the psalmists sing it out. The Bible talks about that. The story that the Bible is telling is that story of God filling the earth with his glory through redemption, through the giving of his son, through the sending of the saints and re-imaging them into their image. And what happens is when Jesus invites us to salvation, to free us from the devastating effects of sin, which first and foremost put us at enmity with God, and his forgiveness actually frees us to be back in relationship with God. A big part of our salvation story is not that we're just being saved to heaven, but we're being saved for that forming and filling work that God created at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And that's how, and I called it the Edenic vision of the garden.
Yeah, and then you turned to your neighbor and said, "What'd he say?"
Yeah. Because that's weird. That we don't use that type of
Edenic,
language,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
Eden, it's that vision of Eden that we have, and that's restoring. And I just, really want our people to consider, what does it look like not just to be saved, but to be restored? And just continue that conversation. And I think that's the work that I will do until the Lord takes me home, until I'm done on this planet, is helping us to be restored, but just shifting. And I would love for people to think about, man, when they think about salvation, does only heaven come into mind?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there something more for them? And that's the conversation I'd love for them to have in their friend groups and in their life groups and in their Bible studies, all of that. And what does that mean for us? And so that was the start of the conversation, which is kind of...
Okay, so...
yeah.
Here's what I got from... Because you said, I don't know if I... Here's what I got from what you said.
Yeah.
So actually, I made note of this. So I said, if Jesus is gathering souls, then salvation's about getting to heaven. Church is a holding room, and faith becomes private and defensive.
Yes.
If Jesus is sending saints, salvation is commissioning. The church is a sending hub, and faith is embodied and public.
Amen.
So, those weren't your, you didn't say those words, but that's what I
got out of that.
Got from what you said.
Yeah. And dude, that's a massive shift.
Massive. That's what the one thing I did notice is you said there's this massive shift that needs to take place, but we didn't super unpack why it's so massive.
Yeah.
And what are the implications of it, which is what I wanted to get to today too. So
which is huge. I think that's huge. And there's moving from a privatized faith to a public faith, which was a big part of the Reformation, because the Catholic Church, and nothing against Catholic, but the more that it was losing influence in the lives of culture, what it had to do was kind of privatize faith. This is where confession became in a confessional. It didn't used to be like that. This is where communion became where people lined up instead of taking it together. And so there was a lot of things that the Catholic Church had to do in order to keep people interested in church. And one of those things was privatize it. Because that was one of the complaints that was going on in
all my business.
Yep. I don't need everybody up in my business. And it actually moved from a communal sense of expression of the church to a privatized sense of the church. And we've kind of adopted that.
Yeah.
But the early church was not that.
No.
It was all about the shared table, the shared living room, the shared space that was there, and coming together as a congregation and being in the faith together. And that's something we need to fight against, because we also live in a very privatized, curated culture. We just call it Instagram or Facebook, right? That's
Right.
it has the appearance of public, but it's actually very, very hidden. It is a veneer. It's not the real self that is there. And so I think the authentic Jesus, the real Jesus, not the one of our own imagination, invites us into a very embodied, like you said, an embodied expression of the good news.
Yeah. Well, and man, this is something that I've had to just work through in my own just spiritual journey. I mean, we all know, like, when you're a teenager, dude, in high school, middle school, every mistake that you make is like under this microscope, and you just get destroyed. Like, they're ruthless.
Yeah.
And I'm a dude. Like, from what I understand, the girls are even meaner. I think there's a movie about that. So I took my faith and I made it very, like, private.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to really disclose anything about it. So, like, a natural, result of that was, like, it created this weird, like, embarrassment.
Yeah.
For the faith that I had, to where I didn't feel like I could share it with others. I was really selective with how or what I was willing to share with others. And then I'd, go on stage and be part of, like, I wasn't the worship leader, but I was, like, one of the voices and it was it's such a weird dynamic. And so I finally, I don't know that I heard this. I don't know. But I came to the conclusion that my relationship with Jesus is meant to be personal, but not private.
Yeah.
Like, there is this individual relationship that I get to have with Jesus.
Yeah.
And that's not at the expense of, like, community, but there is a personal sense to it.
Yeah.
But private changes the whole nature of the relationship to where
which is really, I mean, this is what we're going to talk about next week, and you're tapping into something super real, is that we don't live in a vacuum. There's reasons why we tend to take these paths of least resistance that's there. And you'll have to tune in next week. I'm going to talk about the Nietzschean view of reality and all, why we tend to live closed off as opposed to open. And some of it has to do with some of our assumptions about the meaning of life,
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about that. And Jesus went out of his way to say some pretty gnarly things about what we can expect if we're going to try to embody the kingdom in this world, And so that's next week. I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time talking about. But what I love that you're tapping into is there's a reason. It's not just like, it just happened. Like, we don't live in a vacuum. There's reasons why we move towards self-protection and kind of like privatization of all of life, or even compartmentalization of some of the most significant parts of our life, is because of some of the pain and humiliation we experience in the world.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of the zoom in. The second thing that I didn't really get a chance to talk about that I think is beautiful is that when it comes to the idea of generosity, we kind of in our mind have this categorization of like wealth and poverty, and people who are wealthy can be generous, and people who are impoverished cannot be. And I love that Jesus disconnects the amount of what we have with our ability to be generous. Like he actually is like, hey, generosity is not about what you have; it's about how you interact with what you have. and others in the
Right.
world. And there is when I travel, some of the poorest countries that I've been at have been some of the most generous expressions of faith that I've ever seen in my life. And dude, it's like it is legitimately arresting to the heart when you see someone who has nothing but uses what they do have for the glory of God and the good of others. Dude, it's bizarre what it does to your heart. It has a huge impact on you when you see that type of thing. And we kind of, I don't know. I think it's because of that privatization, because of the lack of seeing myself as a part of a bigger community and having the responsibility for the good of that community. It's kind of just like my little household, my little thing, my little stuff, my little future, my retirement, my whatever. You know, we kind of miss a beauty that's waiting to be untapped in being generous.
Well, I feel like also, like, I wonder if part of it too is that our community, you know, in America, if you would, puts such like pressure on stuff. Like it defines your sense of worth and identity, the things that you have, and the like. Being able to show others, I've made it, I'm successful, I'm good at what I do, I'm smart, I'm talented, I'm whatever. And so like there's this tension between, like, it's a tug of rope between like being generous. Like literally every time I'm generous, I am taking away my ability to show others my worth. Which is just a really fascinating concept. And in some of those poorer countries, I'm guessing, not having really spent a lot of time in those environments, I'm guessing that's not the dynamic that they have.
Yeah.
And so that tension is removed. They have other things, I'm sure, but, you know, it's just an interesting, like, I'm just trying to think through, like, why do we have such a hard time being generous? And that was, I think, an angle that we did that wasn't talked about on Sunday, but I think is real.
Yeah, and I think, dude, it has a lot to do with that story you're living in. You know, the story you live in is the posture you live with. That was the kind of refrain from the thing. And if, you know, and we're gonna dive into this a little bit more about some of the cultural narratives that form our posture and the way that we live. Man, dude, I think that there is one is our definition of blessing and what leads to happiness is really skewed.
Yes.
And because of that, we tend to live with a scarcity mindset because we define blessing and we define security in a worldly way instead of in a kingdom way. And so the theological word is idol, and the kind of psychological or sociological word is attachment. And what happens is idols are unhealthy attachments to things. We look to things to be something that they could never be. And I think for money and success and security and those, like, we look to money to be something there's never been. I had this quote in my message that I didn't do, and Jim Carrey says this. He says, "I wish everybody would become rich so they can find out that it doesn't satisfy."
Yeah, I've heard that one.
You know what I mean? Like it just changes. We put our eggs in the wrong basket, and that's kind of how that comes out. But that's why generosity is hard, because we have clenched fists. We think that if I hold on to something, that thing is going to bring me security and wealth and stability. How could letting go, which is what we talked about, which seems like loss.
Yeah.
Right? My generosity seems like loss in the beginning, but what we don't understand is the theology of sowing or agriculture that is there, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit later.
That's good.
All right. The final thing that I didn't get to, and I didn't have any slides on this, which is why I got through all my slides. But I had a whole section, and it was really this idea, okay, like Paul is saying the way you know if God has your heart is directly connected to your generosity. Mm-hmm. And this isn't new for the people of God. There was a concept that of giving and generosity that was from the very beginning of God's forming his people, and we have called it the tithe. Yeah. Right? So the big question is like, how much should I give?
I was waiting all Sunday for you to just tell me.
Yeah, and I was kidding.
Tell
me how much I give. And what I love is that Paul doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And he actually does the opposite of what the law did. Right? The law said give this much, which it actually wasn't 10%. It was like 10% in 3 different categories, which is like 30%.
Yeah,
way more. Yeah, it was way more. But what I like to tell people is like, man, when we're stuck in a law, we've already missed the point of Jesus. And so we've already made something that was fulfilled in Christ. I'll say it like this. We've cheapened the finished work of Jesus on the cross. We try to make something a law. There's a difference between a law and an ethic. See, the kingdom gives us an ethic. It's like there is this ethic of love and grace and mercy and compassion and justice and freeing the oppressed. And there's this ethic that runs through our identity as God's people now. And what that means is that the law is not written on a paper that I obey. It's written on my heart, which governs the way I think and see and move about in the world. And so, and Paul does the same thing with generosity. He gives us this new ethic to live by. He says, don't give under compulsion or obligation. Right. He said, God loves a cheerful giver. And so what happens is what he's doing is like saying, hey, if you're giving and it's not producing joy, then the point isn't just to like do it because it's a law. The point is to let that be like I call it like a check engine light on the dashboard of your heart.
Yeah.
Something's off. Something's going on. Something's disconnected, because what Paul does is directly connect our connection to God and understanding of God and belonging to God with our generosity. Mm-hmm. He directly connects that in that passage, and he shows multiple different ways that he's connecting that. And so what I call the tithe is the way to understand it is why would that happen is for the Israelites. Remember, he's forming a people for his own possession. It's training wheels. Right? So he's putting training wheels on their lives to get them into the flow of generosity, to get them into the heart of God, to get them unattached from the wrong things and reattached to the right things, to get them detached from idols and attached to the heart of God and the love and the ethic that God was. And so, the tithe in Scripture was never meant to be a tax ceiling. It was meant to be a training floor for people. And there's 3 things that it did. It trained Israel, 1, that everything belongs to God. Which I didn't get a chance to talk about that. Everything belongs to God. This is if you read through that 2 Corinthians 9 passage, you'll see that is the primary theology that's governing Paul's invitation to be a part of the relief work that's going on in there, is that it's not yours.
And that's not new.
That's not new.
That was
your steward.
Old Testament.
Yep, that was an Old Testament. Everything belongs to God.
Yes.
Right? And he can fill your storehouses, and he can also take it away, like with famine. Like everything belongs to God. 2, it trained the Israelites to think about their daily provision instead of putting their security in their storehouses. Like if I have a storehouse, and storehouses aren't bad. Saving's not bad. But it's the level of security that you find in those things that is bad. And daily provision is a big part of the formation of God's people. Is how do we wake up every day and knowing that either what you have or what you're going to receive is a gift from God, is a part of God's daily provision. And then 3, that generosity is a part of God's of the identity of God's people. And so God's people were actually designed to live generously in culture, not guard what they have, and that's what I love. In Christ, the law is written on our hearts, and generosity is no longer measured by percentage, but it is a spirit-shaped and grace-fueled and joy-driven part of our identity.
So you don't want to be the giving curmudgeon.
I don't want to be the giving curmudgeon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's an indication of something deeper
Yeah.
that's happening. And
Yeah.
There, to me, of all that, like the thing that really, like, I don't know, to me, the heart of it is like, where does your security and your trust lie?
Yeah.
Is it in the things that you've stored up because of your own hard work, sweat off my brow, whatever, like that? I've done that. And so I am my provider.
Yeah.
Or is it that my trust is in the Lord, who, by the way, provided all the circumstances and situations that allowed me to do the work to bring in that provision.
Yeah.
And will do that again in the future, and trusting him in that.
Totally. And our generosity directly reflects our understanding of the gospel and the depth of appreciation and gratitude we have for Jesus and what he did for us on the cross. That's why he says, don't give a tithe, give according to the gospel.
Seems like it's going to be more.
Yeah, and I don't want to put a number on it, because everybody's in a different place in their financial capacity and what's going on in their life, and I want to show a ton of grace for that. But I do want to invite people, if they are not in a pattern of regular giving, they need some training wheels on their lives, and that's like one of the first steps that they can have to start reforming their identity around generosity, as opposed to greed or security or protection or fear or whatever is governing their giving rhythms in their life. And man, Jesus on the cross had nothing. No robe, no dignity, no defense. His hands were nailed wide open, and what generosity, what Paul connects generosity to is the depth of God's generosity towards us in his son, Jesus Christ, in the giving of his son. He gave the very best of heaven for the very worst of earth. And that is like, what's more generous than that? You know what I mean? Like, that's a heart of generosity. And so our generosity is probably directly connected to our understanding of how generous God's been towards us.
Yeah. And that goes back to like that framing of if your storehouse is full, how to get full?
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it because of your just natural giftedness with the stock market, or your ability to create wealth based on gifts and talents and work ethic, whatever it is?
Yeah.
Or
your choice of which family you were born into, what you inherited, there's so much that goes on in that conversation.
Yeah. And so it's that, I think, core question that I feel like I tend to circle back to a lot, is just that God is asking, do you trust me?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, they say, if you want to answer that question, I've heard it said, look at your bank account.
Yeah.
Or look at your calendar. Like those are two really big indicators of how I spend my time and how I spend my money.
Yeah. And the big thing, we have a Sermon on the Mount series coming up this year, which I'm really excited about, but we also automatically assume that seasons of poverty are bad and seasons of wealth are good. And the kingdom of God flips that upside down. And Jesus says things like, blessed are the poor. And there were seasons in Tara's life where we were poor financially, but we were rich in stuff that if we had money, we never would have been rich in. Things that matter, like ministry, like presence, like love, like connection, like closeness, like dependence. Like, we had so much spiritual richness going on in those seasons of our lives. And so we just assume that one is better than the other. you know.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think because the world tells us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One is clearly better than the other.
Oh, yeah. We were watching TV last night and the Oura Ring came on. We all jumped on our phone. We're like, what's that? That's awesome. I didn't even know, I need one of those. Then I saw it was like $500 and I'm like, oh, no, never mind. I don't know.
Not for me.
Not for me. And I was like, everybody put your phone down.
Your Apple Watch does a bunch of that stuff.
Totally.
So, yeah. No, it's good. It's good. All right. I feel like it's a good time to have some fun. I told you I was driving in this morning and I we had a day off and I obviously prepared. I always do. I don't think I could do this if I didn't, but I had like a panic moment about halfway here. I didn't write it just for funsies. I had an idea, so it was pretty easy to do. So this is boom. This is like really off the cuff, but
yeah.
Here's what I got. Oh, and by the way, it's time for Just for Funsies.
Just for funsies.
All right. You said, and this isn't this.
I love when Just for Funsies are based on something stupid I said.
No, this wasn't stupid.
Oh.
No, this was
okay.
this was I think profound actually.
Oh.
And then it gets to okay. but you said, what if you wake up every morning and your life was defined by the goodness, faithfulness, and the wisdom and power of God? That was good. You said the world's narratives would become thin and grossly unsatisfying. Also good. And then you said, like kale. Which was funny. That was all. It was good, but in a different way, not profound. Just funny. So okay, I was, and you confessed you're like starting a diet. So I was like, okay, let's talk about diet foods.
Yeah.
Here's some trendy diet foods according to ChatGPT.
Oh, okay.
And we're just gonna say, take it or leave it.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Take it or leave it. Okay.
Take it or leave it.
Yep.
So the first one is kale chips.
Leave it.
I don't even know what a kale chip is, but it does not sound good.
Yeah.
I'm okay with kale.
Yeah, I don't mind kale in my salad or in my smoothie.
Smoothie, I'm with you.
With salad dressing on it. Dude, kale chips are disgusting.
Salads are disgusting, but
yeah, Tara and Moses love stuff like that. Anything that tastes like cardboard and like zero
with some
taste.
salt.
Yeah, exactly. Leave it.
No
kale
thanks.
Chips, leave it.
Cauliflower pizza crust.
Take it.
Gross. Leave
Dude,
it.
I love a good cauliflower pizza. There's a couple of places that do it really, really well.
I don't know. I have a celiac kid, and he doesn't like most of it.
Poor kid. I know.
Yeah. So I'm. This is more based off.
Has he always been celiac? So does he even know? Does he even know what the real thing tastes
18 months
like?
Diagnosed at 18 months.
Okay.
So he doesn't really.
He doesn't even really know.
But he's had a couple occasions where he was given the wrong thing. So he was like, "This is the best mac and cheese ever," or "This is the greatest pizza ever." And then he's like very, very sick, like ER type stuff. So yeah, I'm a no. It's a no for me, dog. As
it's a great say
Randy. No, this was American Idol.
Oh yeah,
remember Randy?
Randy, yeah.
I don't remember his last name, but it's a no for me, dog. All right, kombucha.
Leave it.
Oh, I like the kombucha.
Dude, I like the taste of kombucha, but dude, that thing that it comes from, the
probiotic,
whatever that amoeba snot thing that is in the bottom of it, like Tara made it at home for a while, and I saw that thing, and I cannot get my mind.
It's like
off
you
of
found
that.
out how hot dogs.
It has,
made.
dude. It has,
like,
yeah,
exactly.
You're like, dude, it has a name too, and it's like gross.
I don't want to know that. Yeah. Let's not ruin it for everyone.
Sorry.
I'm pro kombucha. It's
okay,
good. It's tasty. Okay, I don't even know. Quinoa burger.
No, leave it.
Like, I could barely even get the words out.
I'll eat quinoa, but why put it into a burger?
I don't know. Okay, some of these are getting crazy. Chia seed pudding.
No, leave it.
I
don't even know what chia seed is, but
no.
I had a chia pet growing up, and I don't want anything to do with that.
Oh, I did too. My aunt got it for me for Christmas.
Yeah,
as a teenager.
Yeah,
not the best gift for your teenager. Just gonna put it out there.
I got it for Christmas one year as a teenager too.
Okay, so I might have been a little older. Trauma.
It could have been like my freshman year in college. I can't remember.
Nice. Okay. I don't know what this is either. I know the tofu scramble.
No.
Tofu is like not. It's just boring.
Yeah.
Like it needs something.
It takes on the flavor of whatever it's cooked in, right?
Right.
So if I'm gonna have eggs and
Just
put
eat
tofu,
eggs.
just eat eggs.
Yeah.
Like I just taste
Just
the
gonna
eggs.
taste eggs with some tofu.
I don't need the
tofu. Yeah,
Leave it.
I'm with you. Almond butter on everything.
Yes, I love almond butter.
I've never had almond butter.
So my go-to breakfast is a toasted bagel with almond butter, sliced banana, and drizzle of honey and cinnamon.
Oh,
I love it.
that sounds like a lot of work at that time of day. I don't know. My go-to breakfast is.
By the time I eat breakfast, I've
coffee.
already been up for like 3.5 hours. So,
And I will wake up in 3.5 hours.
exactly.
All right. Green juice cleanses.
Green juice is fine. You could leave out the cleanses because I know what that means. So yeah, you could.
I always think of the Nutty Professor. I think it was like colon cleansing. Like nope. Hard pass.
I'm good.
Hard pass. Green juice. I like naked juice.
Yeah, the naked green juice is
Green
really
Machine.
Yep, that's a
good.
really good one.
That's
and
good.
First Watch has a really good green juice.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sponsored by.
Mhm.
Zoodles. Zucchini noodles.
Yes.
No.
I'll do it all day.
Oh, hot garbage.
Dude, we got a zoodler in the Comstock home. We have a zoodler.
Dude, that sounds like some kind of wizard.
I
in your
know.
house.
We have it.
We
have
a
a zoodler.
If you ask
Thing 1 and thing 2, ask Dr. Seuss about our zoodler.
so it's like, and again, you guys should all take pity on my wife. So, because we don't do a lot of pasta because of the celiac thing.
Yeah.
But if we do, she makes like 4 different pastas because everyone has.
Dude, zucchini pasta, if it's done right. Oh, so good. Good.
I don't love the base of it. Like zucchini in general is just kind of meh.
Oh, you gotta like zucchini
to me. So it's like
I love zucchini. It's like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But you know who has a good zoodle is Virgilio's. Go to it's spicy. They put like this red spicy sauce on it and meatballs. Oh,
so they're hiding the zucchini in a spicy red
it's
sauce.
delicious. Just
This is no
accompanying.
different than mom hiding my vegetables in the smoothie.
Yeah, that's why I told you. Maybe you'll become a zoodle fan if you go.
This feels like something you'd be into. I don't know. Rice cakes with avocado.
No.
Okay, I was wrong.
Yeah, I love avocado. I do not like rice cakes.
I like rice cakes. I like avocado, but I don't want them together.
Yeah.
And I don't like just a plain rice cake, which I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
Yeah.
Like, give me like the Cool Ranch.
Yeah, the one with
cake.
flavor on them.
Like,
I
yeah.
can do those, but yeah, I'm not a big rice cake fan. I'd never.
Oh,
had it.
the really good. There's the mini ones that are like caramel popcorn flavor.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
You throw
not
sugar
healthy.
on.
I mean,
them.
not
Yeah,
healthy. It doesn't work for this game.
It's
but
like rice or popcorn. I think both of them are probably have zero nutritional value.
none, and I love pop.
Yeah. So does my wife.
So that's the trendy.
The trending.
I don't know if
yeah.
we gave you any good ideas.
No, you did.
for your
Yeah,
diet.
you reminded me of the zoodle. We need to zoodle
Yes,
more in the
you-
Comstock house.
We need to zoodle more.
We need to
Things you
zoodle
didn't
more.
expect to hear on the podcast today. We need to zoodle more.
I'll tell Tara we need to zoodle more.
And maybe you'll try a quinoa burger while you're at it.
No. You don't mess with the burger. You don't mess with the burger.
Beef. All right. Let's get back into the message. All right. I always like to start with you said. This is like it's all on you, man. All right. You said, and we mentioned the story. The story you choose to live in determines the posture you live with.
Yeah.
And then you contrasted clenched fists and open hands.
Yeah.
You said clenched fists, or I don't know if you said this directly, but the impression was comes from a scarcity, fear, and self-protection mindset. And that's an image that obviously is like really clear, really sticks. And I caught you said put up your dukes, but you like lisped the S at the end, and I didn't know if you were like trying to do some like John Wayne, Sean Connery Bond thing, like put up your dukes.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that was, but it was funny. Okay, so let me ask this: do you think that most clenched fist living comes from trauma, from living in a broken world, or from a deeper spiritual mistrust, or maybe some combination of those things? Like, where does it come from?
Yeah, definitely all of that. I think we live in a broken world, and I think as we live out broken stories, they shape our broken posture, you know? And so and the point of that is not to like negate someone's negative experience.
No.
But the invitation is that God wants to heal us from that. He wants to restore us. And so I think a big part of growing is understanding the stories that shape us and define us. And, you know, like, man, I experienced some, you know, like abuse as a child. I carried that into so much of my life, into destructive behavior and destructive relationships and destructive attachments and all those types of things. And so, and the reality is that God cares deeply about those things. The invitation is that it doesn't have to be that way. That doesn't have to be our defining story of, you know, of hurt and pain. And so, yeah, I think the first step to becoming whole is addressing the root problem, which is what some of those stories are. And whether it's trauma or abuse or fear or embarrassment or, you know, I know people that like, you know, who've had like one comment made to them in school that really embarrassed them, and that comment has haunted the way they interact for the rest of their life. And so how do we bring that thing into the hands of Jesus to heal, you know?
Yeah. No, I might have been that kid who said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Side note. But,
yeah. And
but,
on both
that
sides
came
of
from
those
my
things.
brokenness.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which is fascinating. And that's the thing I always try to impress on my kids. It's like, hey, when somebody says something about you, it actually is telling you something about them more than it says anything about you.
Yeah.
You know, and so this idea of, you know, I think finding wholeness and like understanding, I feel like how our story has pulled us away from the true story.
Yeah.
You know, and finding healing, I think is vital. And I think it's really interesting too, because, you know, this is like fight or flight, you know, kind of posture, right?
Yeah.
This open-handedness is, you know, it's much more vulnerable. Like I was thinking about when you were talking about Jesus on the cross and his arms outstretched wide. Like you think about if someone were to like come at you and threaten you, what's our natural response is to like clench up, clench our fists, recoil, bring our arms in, brace yourself. And so, but when we do that, there's like this tension. There's this like you can't experience the freedom that comes with open hands. And I don't know. It's it's something I think we're all in process on. You know, I am.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's good to take inventory, you know, and it's not meant to shame, but it's meant to create space to heal. And you know, I mean, I think the first step of being free from any sort of negative attachment is to identify that thing.
Yep. So talking about being in process, okay, you were talking about Ananias and Sapphira.
Oh gosh,
right?
I wanted to go into that passage a lot more than I did. That's a terrifying. Dude, I remember the first time I read that. I can tell you like where I was when I read it. Like I was sitting on my high school stoop. And I was a part of a Bible club. We were reading Acts, and I literally came to that part. I didn't grow up in a Christian home, did not ever hear the story. Nobody warned me that story was coming. You know what I mean? Like it was like there. And I remember reading it, and I'm like, what the heck just happened? Like, Yeah, if that doesn't put the fear of the Lord in you, I don't know what does.
Well, yeah, my passage like that is depart from me, I never knew you.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that's
another
like
one,
very sobering to me. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean?
Okay.
Like, I better get to know you. Okay, but that's not what I was getting at here. Let's see. This is what you said though. They wanted resurrection reputation without cruciformed trust in God. That messed me up. Not initially. Like when you first said it, I was like, oh, that's good. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I think that's what I want.
That's what
not
we all
all
want.
the time.
That's what we all want.
But that's, it really, it's really piercing if you're honest with yourself. And so like, I was thinking about it. I was like, we want the appearance of, resurrection without the path of crucifixion. We don't just want the appearance of resurrection, though. Like, we actually want the fruit of it.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't want the struggle of the cross.
Yeah.
So they wanted this outcome, right? Resurrection, reputation, everyone to see them and think, oh, wow, what a beautiful trust you have in the Lord. But they didn't want the vulnerability, the surrender, and the risk that it required. So why do we want to look transformed more than we want to be transformed?
Yeah, man. It's a sin.
Next question.
It's sin. Next question. No, dude, I think that's something that's worth pausing on and wrestling with as a follower of Jesus, Like, man, I wish that Jesus was like, anyone who wants to come after me, pick up your full digital wallet. with 100 Bitcoins in it, you know what I mean?
And I will fill it.
And follow after me, and he doesn't. He's like, hey, pick up your cross.
Yeah.
Pick up the thing. And I think the most difficult part of following Jesus is the invitation of dying to the ego, dying to the self,
Yeah.
And that's what that cross represents, because it's the thing that we're most protectant of. And the countercultural or the counterintuitive part of that is that actually when we let ourselves go, when we let ourselves stop trying to protect our image and stop trying to impress and stop trying to perform for people's approval, that's actually, here's what's different. That's actually when we become most free. And it's actually when we become the most likable version of ourselves.
Yeah. No, it's true. Because, I was thinking about that. It's like, we want this, we try so hard to curate our appearance. And dude, most people, they see through that at least to some degree. But what everyone identifies with is our weaknesses. When we're open about our struggles, it's actually much more likable, much more inviting. And it invites real relationship. Because then now someone's like, I've never told anyone this, but here's my weakness.
Yeah.
Here's my brokenness. Dude,
it's hilarious. I'll get up and say something that I think is brilliant. Some theological truth or some depth to cover, that comes from studying and reading and things. I think it's brilliant.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And I get up and talk about, my struggle with, my past drug addiction, or my struggle with, being a husband or a father or whatever. And people are like, that really spoke to me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So the 9 hours I put into developing whatever that idea was did nothing.
Just tell us how jacked up you are, David.
But just the vulnerability or the openness of sharing my life, it goes a long ways. And so, it is a mystery.
Well, it's a hard thing, you know. I'm not super into, but a little bit into the Enneagram, and so I'm a 3, and so Enneagram 3, their whole thing is they want to appear successful and good at whatever it is they're doing. So literally my whole life is this, you know, trying to avoid acknowledging or showing any weakness. And until I recognize, and this is like what a healthy 3 is, like recognizing that, acknowledging that, or when I don't acknowledge that, is my weakness.
Yeah.
That it's actual strength that allows me to share my brokenness and my weakness with others.
And that's why, man, I was just, I was reading an article of like a famous person who, she's like in Hollywood, and I know it's a little graphic, but she was talking about her addiction to pornography and masturbation, and how much she hid that for so long and carried the shame. And the moment she confessed that to both God and a safe community is the moment she started to experience freedom from those things.
Isn't that crazy? Which
was counterintuitive. She was protecting her identity and the way people viewed her and the things of shame. And the moment she brought it into light, which is what 1 John says, bring it into the light where Jesus is. And 2 things will happen. You'll have forgiveness of sins, and you'll have a connection with others. That's what that passage says. And it's like counterintuitive. Like when we
counterintuitive.
Bring it into the light, that's when freedom begins to happen in our lives. And man, that's hard. That's really, really hard.
Yeah. All right, one more, and then we'll move on. You read 2 Corinthians 9:6. Whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. And then you said, that's not prosperity theology, that's agricultural theology, which I thought was clever. You don't reap what you store, you reap what you sow. But earlier you said a couple other things. You said...
I said it was agricultural reality.
Oh, you didn't say theology?
Yeah, I didn't say theology.
Oh, all right, see? Gotta listen closer.
It's actually not theology at all. It's design.
It is just kind
it's
of
just
like
the
what
way
it is.
things are.
Yeah.
Like that's really that's what I was trying to, I know sometimes I get a little too clever with my phrasing. Sticky statements. Sticky statements.
It's still good.
Yeah.
Either, irrespective of the word, the point remains.
The point remains, yeah.
And you also said, though, self-protection feels wise, but it slowly begins to starve your soul, and you don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
And that you clarified that generosity isn't reckless or unwise. It's retraining for a kingdom mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So it made me think about the farmer and this agricultural reality. If a farmer never plants a seed because it feels risky or because he's afraid it won't produce, eventually he has nothing. Or, at best, he has a full storehouse of seed that isn't doing what it's intended to do.
Yeah. It does him literally no good.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of us live like that. We've got storehouses full of time, money, skills, gifts, opportunities, but we're not doing what they're intended for because we're afraid planting them would be irresponsible or foolish.
Preach.
So how do we discern the difference between reckless and retraining?
Yeah, I think reckless is you're always going to spend on yourself. And retraining is always going to be for the sake of others.
That's like way simpler than I thought you were going to say.
Yeah. Well, no, dude, Rick Warren, I love that man. And the more I see him in his retirement, like the more I just appreciate his ministry and who he is. He's, dude, later in his late 60s, early 70s, had some pretty major theological shifts and understanding of Jesus and and I really appreciate it when older men can be humble and learn and still grow. And he's one of those ones. But he says this thing, he's like, man, people only have 3 choices. You can waste your life, you can spend your life, or you can invest your life. And the wasting of your life is kind of just this floating around, going, like being tossed to and fro, going to each thing. Spending your life is just indulging in self. Just everything you have, everything you do is about my look, my success, my bank account, my thing. That's spending your life. You're just it's taking, but there's no output, right? That's there. And then the investing your life is leveraging your time, treasures, and talents for something that lives beyond you. And I just, I think the fear-based living causes us to, for the most part, spend our lives. Now, I wasted my life. Man, dude, I was the prodigal son. That was my story, man. I blew it on stupid stuff and indulgence and things like that. Spending your life, I've had seasons of that where it's like you build your career, build your 401k, you build, you know what I mean? It's all of this kind of like castle that you're building for yourself. And man, Tara and I, when we got into ministry, we were like, man, we want to spend everything we have as an investment for the eternal kingdom and for the future of God's people, not just my people, you know? And I think there's a big difference between that, and that takes some intentionality.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, to just go into that practical of like it feeling unwise, I think that's what so many of us were trained.
Mm-hmm.
Like investing in others, what we were trained, the language was like foolish, you know, like frivolous spending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, at the expense of your own retirement or your savings or your rainy day fund or
Your
you know,
future,
whatever the thing is. And that is a very worldly mindset.
Yeah.
Whereas a more kingdom mindset.
Yeah. And even when I think about people's investments, it's like, man, when they organize their lives, like it is possible, like Tara and I, we don't have any wealth. We don't have any generational wealth to manage. It's just because of where we were born, what we were born into, how we've chosen to live our lives and what's important to us and all of that. But I see a lot of people with a lot of wealth that they're holding on to. And it's like, I want to give them an imagination that their story begins when their life ends. How does what they've done contribute to the future of the church and the advancement of the kingdom and the continued of the, you know, the glory of God filling the earth, you know, type of things. And a lot of people don't have imagination for that. They just think, how can I sit on a beach somewhere and not work?
Right. Yeah, it's like the guy who fills up his storehouse and he's all set, and then this very day your life will be taken from you.
Oh, oops.
Well, that was a waste.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
As opposed to having, you know, that kingdom mindset where it is for the betterment of others.
And wherever people are at, I always tell people, man, there's this weird dichotomy between you have more time than you think, and life is you have less time than you think. You know what I mean? And there's this tension between that stuff. And I just think there's an important sense of like, man, being aware that our lives are an investment into something.
It's like that phrase, whenever you have a baby, somebody's going to say to you, the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Yeah.
You know, like, you've got a lot of time with which you can spend however you see fit.
Yeah.
You know, you can waste it, you can spend it, you can invest it. But you have a finite amount of time.
Yeah.
And you just don't know when that time runs out.
And wherever you're at with generosity, just put some training wheels on. Start small, you know, make a commitment and make a sense of like training yourself. And I love the definition of sin that says miss the mark. You've heard me say this before. I think you talked about it before, but this idea of like, it's an arrow that misses the target. And what I love about that is like, just pull out another arrow, shoot again. You know what I mean? Like there's always another chance to start living beyond yourself. And it doesn't matter how much debt you're in, how much financial resources are strained, how much, like, there are small things that you can do today to start getting into the generosity flow of the kingdom. And I just want people to hear that completely. Like, just because you can't whatever X, Y, and Z in your mind doesn't mean you can't do anything.
Well, it's literally, and longer story for a different day, but it's our story, Lauren and I. Like we had massive debt. We were not, giving to the church or really anyone other than ourselves.
Yeah.
And we were just in a total mess. Like minimum credit card payments were the same as the mortgage payment. Like that serious.
That's big.
And we made a conscious decision that we needed to start tithing. We didn't just do it all in one, but we moved
it wasn't
towards
like
it.
boom.
Yeah, I mean, we could barely afford to live,
Yeah.
but we took some intentional steps towards it, and man, over time, in ways that we had nothing to do with, we found ourselves completely debt free, not burdened by the weight of these like credit card payments, because it's really like it is killing your soul. Like,
yeah, dude,
it's stress, it's pressure. And
it's prison.
There's no tangible like benefit.
Yeah.
And so, but just by like a simple act of faith and trust, man, God bless that. And I'm not necessarily saying like that's going to be everyone's story or, but I
would almost say,
something,
dude, it can be everyone's story.
It's freedom.
It's like the one thing that God's like, test me on this.
Yeah.
Test me. Like, oh, you don't believe me? Test me and I'll show you. And dude, I've never, ever heard anyone be like, oh, I started being generous and my life was miserable.
Right.
I never heard that story ever in a million years. I watched a dude with no legs throw a bag of rice in the offering plate and singing for joy. In that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I've seen the craziest of things in the poorest of places.
Right. It doesn't mean nothing bad will ever happen.
No.
I guess that's more what I'm
But it does mean
describing.
that when you put your joy in the right thing, it can't be taken from you.
Right.
That's the key.
Like you said, you never run out of God.
You never run out of God. Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. I think you wanted to have a little cultural moment. Do we have time for that? We're looking at the clock. We're thinking.
Let him cook. It's time for David's low-key obsession.
Yeah, I think, man, I am reading a book right now called The Reason for the Church. And it's actually written by a pastor down in Boulder, Colorado. And his argument is talking about the effects of postmodernism on the church. And one of the things that is postmodern and the result of postmodernism is a distrust of any sort of organization.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if it's the government, doesn't matter if it's financial world, doesn't matter if it's
Chick-fil-A.
the marketing world. Like any. How could you distrust Chick-fil-A? No, but particularly, it's caused this weird relationship between the church, and because of our connection to information, like we get more stories about fallen leaders or church abuse or mismanagement of funds. Mosaic's had its own story and journey of things that have been broken here in those types of areas. And so running through kind of the psyche of the American mind right now is just this posture of distrust of any organization. And it keeps people at a like hand's length with the church. Mm-hmm. And man, my in this cultural moment, some of the things that's burdening me is how do we reestablish the type of trust that allows people to be a part of the church in a way that is not arm's length?
Yeah. No, it's good. And, those are like the cultural things that keep people at arm's length. And then you have their own personal experiences too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
It's not just the story you read on social media about some pastor who was a jerk or somebody who embezzled.
Totally.
Or you have actually, no, I was in a church and this elder or elder's wife or pastor or leader or whoever hurt me.
Yep.
And so I don't want anything to do with the church. So you've got both those.
You got both of those things running
through our heads.
And we have people having a returning to the church,
mm-hmm.
but as they're coming in, it's very reluctant.
Yes.
and so it's slow and yeah. So I want to be aware of that's what the culture is, but I also want to be completely honest about the necessity of institutions in society and culture. Like the church is an institution that God has established that is incredibly beneficial for culture. Incredibly. Yes, it can do massive hurt because sin is real. People are filled with sin and bad things happen. But that doesn't mean that we just dismiss the institution itself. Government. Yeah. Man, we're experiencing it right now, but we need government. You know what I mean? We need people. Yeah, marriage. Yeah. The institution of the family. Yeah. These types of God-given institutions that are really beautiful. And the conversation isn't that that we need to do away with institutions. The conversation is, what does our redemptive posture and presence look like in the midst of them? How do we relate to them in a way that's healthy, that's biblical, that is that's participatory and not just consumeristic, which I think is a big part of the church thing right now. And so, and all of that is like, man, we do a thing called partnership here. And it's not because that's what churches do. It's because we really believe in the value of deeper commitment with the organization that we call the church. And so we want to invite people into that. We want to invite people to consider, what does it look like to
this coming Sunday.
Yeah. You can sign up this coming Sunday and 5:00 in the lobby, and you're going to hear about this institution, Mosaic. Yeah. But there's an institutional reality to the church, and then there's a relational, familial reality to the church, and we're always living in the tension of those two things.
Yeah. Well, and I would say, to the person who's feeling those things, which is a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of people. You're looking at the product of church hurt from failed institutions, from leaders who were supposed to protect me and lead me and fill me, and they were domineering and abusive, and all of that, spiritually manipulative.
I would say to that person, so I got married when I was 21. I was divorced by 23. And so, I had to make a decision, like, what do I think about marriage? And the conclusion I came to was, marriage isn't bad, but that one was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I would just encourage you, like, apply that to the church or to, marriage or family or whatever. Like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, and I would say, man, like, don't just take my word for it. Like, do the work.
Yep.
Like, make an honest determination, not from a place of confirmation bias where you're looking for something to demonize the church, because you can find it.
Yeah.
But from a place of, like, what is, like, God's design?
Yeah. And I've had to do that with government in this season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, I've
really,
really, it's like, you're just like, we'll just, whatever. And it's like, no, we have to we have to fight off the urge to make, to demonize is making the whole of something bad. That's what it means to demonize. And we do that to people. We do that to institutions. We do that to, we take the failures of some and we make them the failures of all. Broad brush it. And man, we shouldn't do that with one another. We shouldn't do that with institutions. And my heart right now is like, we're going to make it through this. We're going to come out of this. This is a season of really difficulty, both for the church and for the institution of government right now. And but how do we remain faithful in the midst of it?
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good. All right, let's land the plane. IRL.
Hashtag IRL. And if you don't know what that means, you must be old. Yeah. Keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Simple.
Keep coming back to God. Keep coming back to this story. Keep coming back to community. Just keep coming back and exploring the better story that God has for you. And man, if you don't know what that means, like if come talk to us. You don't have to do it alone. Like, we have people that want to, walk alongside you, get you plugged into the right communities and places and spaces to learn. I have a class called The Way coming up that I'm really excited about, and I want to invite people into that. And just keep coming back.
Yeah, and I like what you said. It's kind of related, but I like what you said Sunday about how the early church changed the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't good theology. It wasn't like marketing, good messaging. It was just this open-handed living.
Yeah.
And so just recognizing, like, that could change your world.
Yeah.
That could change the world of the people around you. And so just slowly unclench those hands.
And I think it's starting to learn to take this story seriously. And I think we've kind of compartmentalized it as some other thing.
Sunday thing.
Yeah, this Sunday thing, this religious thing, this faith thing, this whatever, this good philosophy thing. But if we start taking this story seriously, we'll start taking God seriously, we'll start taking Jesus seriously, and we'll start taking our own health and wholeness seriously. And that's the journey, and that's kind of how that whole thing works.
It's good. Next week,
Freely Given, week 2, we're talking about open hearts. So we had open hands. Yeah. I'm talking about open hearts. And we're talking about what does it look like if open hands. This is a little sneak peek. If open hands is how we get in the flow of God's provision, then open hearts is how we get in the flow of God's presence. So that's what we're gonna look at next
All right,
week.
I'm excited for it. So don't miss it. And man, come back here. We'll unpack it further.
Yep.
Man, this is the intersection. You gave you were like intersection, integration, birth of faith in real life. And so, man, we want to be that for you. And we know we're not that, but it's a place to explore those things.
Yeah.
And a place to really be introspective about
keep the conversation
what God's
going.
doing. Yeah. In you. And so we're glad that you're with us. Like, comment, share, be obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
Just
everywhere.
Let everyone know if God's doing something through this podcast. We love you guys. Catch you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for listening to Centered. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a friend. You can listen to Centered on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube. To learn more about Mosaic or connect further, visit us online at welcometomosaic.com. See you next week.